Okay, so today we're going deep on Gary Vaynerchuk,
Gary V.
better known as Gary V, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
He was born Gennady Alexandrovich Vaynerchuk.
Wow, you really did your research.
Had to make sure I got that right.
You got it.
But yeah, born in Belarus, 1975, came over to the U.S. with his family when he was pretty young.
Yeah, and for a lot of folks out there, their first intro to Gary V was probably through wine.
Wine library.
Exactly, wine library. He really kind of shook things up in the wine world, brought a new perspective.
Yeah, very modern approach.
Totally. And that was just the beginning for him, right?
Right.
Now he's this huge voice in digital marketing and social media.
Oh yeah, runs Vaynerchuk.
Chairman of Vaynerchuk, CEO of VaynerMedia. I mean, the guy's everywhere.
I mean, he's built some serious companies too.
Oh, for sure. Not just talk.
Like Resi. I mean, how many times have we used Resi to book a table?
Right? Now owned by American Express. Big deal.
And Empathy Wines.
Acquired by Constellation Brands.
He knows how to build something.
And let's not forget, VFriends.
The NFTs.
Huge in the NFT space.
So we're talking about someone with a serious track record.
Exactly.
And what we're going to try to do today is really get into his head. Understand the core principles that drive his approach to business.
Yeah, his business philosophy.
Like how he sees social media, how he thinks about technology.
And where he thinks it's all heading.
The long game.
Exactly. Because look, things change fast, right? We want to get a sense of how Gary V sees the future unfolding and what we can do to prepare.
So let's start with something he's been hammering on lately. AI.
Oh yeah, he's all over AI.
I mean, I saw that clip where he's like, if you don't have ChatGPT on your phone right now, what are you doing?
Not an hesitation.
Super direct, right?
You got to pay attention to that kind of intensity.
He even calls people resisting AI lazy and entitled.
Strong words.
But I think what he's saying is you can't afford to ignore it.
This is a technology that could completely reshape the game.
And he's not just saying read an article or two about it.
Yeah.
He's talking about putting in serious time.
50 to 100 hours, he says.
To really research and understand how AI can impact your specific business.
So for our listeners out there, that's a real commitment.
Yeah, he's not messing around.
I think what's really interesting is the emphasis on getting your hands dirty.
Not just theory.
Right. It's not enough to just read about AI. You got to actually use it.
Experiment.
Exactly. See what it can do for your business, because the potential is huge.
He keeps bringing up that company in Portugal.
Supposedly it made $100 million in sales using an AI bot.
Now, the details are a bit fuzzy on that one.
Yeah, it's more of an anecdote than a case study.
But it gets the point across.
Right. This is serious stuff.
So let's try to connect this to something everyone can relate to.
Okay.
Think about all those AI-powered voice assistants.
Like Alexa and Siri.
Exactly. Gary V sees a future where we're using them for everything.
Ordering groceries, booking appointments, managing our calendars.
And here's where it gets really interesting for brands. If you're just telling your smart speaker, order coffee,
right.
Does it matter what brand you get?
That's the question.
Maybe you're used to saying, order Starbucks coffee.
Or order Folgers.
But in a voice-first world, you might just say coffee.
And the platform could decide what you get.
Based on your past orders or whatever.
Right.
So Gary V says building strong brand recognition is going to be even more important.
Makes sense. You want people to specifically ask for your brand.
Not just the generic product.
I need Nike sneakers. Not just, I need sneakers.
Exactly.
So AI could be a game changer for brands in that sense.
And it's not just AI that's shaking things up.
Social media is constantly evolving too.
Oh, yeah. And Gary V's been saying that the free ride is coming to an end.
The days of easy organic reach
might be numbered.
He thinks new technologies like smart glasses and VR could completely change how we interact online.
And that means social media marketing is going to have to adapt.
Big time.
This is especially interesting because Gary V has been a champion of social media for so long.
I mean, he wrote Crush It back in 2009.
He was ahead of the curve.
Totally. But now he's saying the landscape is shifting again.
And we need to pay attention.
So how does this all fit together? He's pushing hard on AI, but he's also still a big believer in social media.
Right. Well, he's definitely not saying abandon social media.
Okay.
In fact, he's still all about creating organic content.
Across multiple platforms.
Yeah. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube Shorts, LinkedIn, Twitter, you name it.
He even thinks classic Facebook is making a comeback.
Interesting.
Might be worth another look.
And here's the thing. No matter what your goals are,
business, personal, community, whatever,
Gary V says you need to be using social media effectively.
It's the key to reaching people.
I love that story he tells about the company that hired a full-time TikTok creator.
Oh, yeah.
There was some pushback at first,
People were skeptical.
but then one of their TikToks went viral.
Millions of views picked up by People Magazine Newsweek.
It's a perfect example of the power of organic social media.
And Gary Vee argues that this kind of opportunity might not be around forever,
Right. He sees this as a unique moment in time.
where anyone with a good idea and the hustle can build a following.
But the window might be closing.
So yeah, AI is the future, but social media is still huge right now.
And you got to be on both.
Absolutely.
So we've talked about AI. We've talked about social media.
Let's get into some of Gary Vee's broader business principles.
Like his famous maybe mindset.
Oh, yeah.
This is so key.
It's about keeping an open mind.
Instead of immediately saying no to something new,
You say maybe.
especially when it comes to technology and consumer trends.
Because things change so fast.
And if you're too quick to dismiss something.
You might miss out on a huge opportunity.
He talks about how people were initially resistant to TikTok.
Fucking China.
That was the reaction.
But look at it now.
It's massive.
And a lot of people missed out because they were too closed-minded.
So the maybe mindset is all about potential.
Avoiding those self-imposed limitations.
And it ties directly into his emphasis on taking action.
Yeah, he's a big believer in doing not just consuming
It's not enough to just listen to this podcast.
or read a book or watch a video.
You actually implement what you learn.
Put it into practice.
Gary Vee's call to action is pretty clear.
Build a social media strategy across multiple platforms.
And dive deep into AI research.
50 to 100 hours, remember.
He's all about putting in the work.
So now let's talk about the long game.
Oh.
Because Gary Vee is known for thinking big and thinking long term.
And that's kind of counter to what a lot of people are doing these days.
Right, everyone wants to get rich quick.
But Gary Vee is building something different.
Like his V-Friends project.
He said it's a 30 to 40 year vision.
Whoa!
He wants to create a whole world around V-Friends.
Like Pokemon or Marvel.
He even talks about amusement parks down the line.
That's serious commitment.
And we're already starting to see the pieces come together.
Like the V-Friends Topps Chrome trading cards.
This is a slow burn.
But Gary Vee is patient.
And what's interesting is that his personal brand is so big.
Everyone knows Gary Vee.
But his actual businesses are even bigger.
Yeah, people don't always realize the scale of what he's running.
Like Vaynerchuk's communications company.
And VaynerMedia, his digital agency.
2,500 employees, $400 million in revenue.
Wow.
And then there's Resi, which we talked about.
Plus, he's got Vayner Sports and a new TV production company called VaynerWatt.
I mean, the guy is a machine.
And he works like one, too.
He's famous for his insane work ethic.
12 to 17 hours a day, skipping meals.
But he says it's not just about the money.
He genuinely loves the work.
And that's what allows him to sustain that level of intensity.
So it's about finding something you're passionate about.
Something that drives you.
Yeah, because if you love what you do, the hard work doesn't feel so hard.
Now we got to talk about personal accountability.
This is a big one for Gary Vee.
He's super passionate about it.
And he's very direct.
Like brutal sometimes.
He's basically saying, stop blaming others for your situation.
Take ownership of your life.
He literally asks, at what age is it finally time to stop blaming your parents and realizing you're a big fucking boy and girl and can change the outcome of your life?
That's a wake-up call.
Yeah, he's not sugarcoating anything.
And he's not just talking about big life decisions. He's also talking about everyday stuff.
Like what you consume.
He says limit your exposure to negativity.
News, social media, toxic relationships.
Anything that brings you down.
Because negativity drains your energy.
It prevents you from taking action.
Makes sense?
He even has this tip for controlling your social media feed.
Okay.
Instead of passively scrolling, he says actively search for positive content.
Like sunshine, rainbows, puppies.
I know it sounds cheesy.
But it actually works.
If you're constantly bombarded with negativity, it's going to affect your mindset.
So you got to curate your experience.
Be intentional about what you consume.
And this applies to parenting, too.
Oh, yeah. Gary Vee is big on parents taking responsibility for their kids' social media use.
Well, whole other conversation.
But the point is, we have more control than we realize.
Over our lives, our environments, our mindsets.
And Gary Vee says that realizing that is the key to achieving our goals and finding happiness.
So it's not just about external success. It's about internal fulfillment as well.
And that brings us to his idea of loving the process.
Not just the outcome.
He talks about how he enjoys the trying,
The journey.
even the setbacks.
He uses this boxing analogy. He's like, I'd rather get knocked down and fight back than win easily.
Because it's about the challenge,
The struggle.
the growth.
And he believes that's what ultimately leads to financial success.
Because you're not just chasing money,
You're pursuing something you love.
and the money's a byproduct of that passion.
It's a more sustainable approach.
So to wrap this up for you, let's recap what we've learned about Gary Vee's business philosophy.
Okay.
It's about embracing AI,
Mastering social media.
cultivating a maybe mindset,
Yeah.
taking action,
Thinking long term.
and above all, taking radical responsibility for your life.
It's a powerful combination.
And Gary Vee believes this is a unique moment in history.
A time of unprecedented opportunity.
But that window might not be open forever.
So we got to make the most of it.
So here's a final thought for you as you go about your day.
Okay.
Think about one area where you're resisting change.
Could be anything. AI, a new social media platform, a personal habit.
What's one small step you can take in the next 24 hours?
To shift from no to
You
maybe.
start taking more control.
It could be anything.
Just one small action to move you in the right direction.
Because as Gary Vee would say,
You got to start somewhere.
and the best time to start is now.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
We'll catch you next time.
Peace.